SNP government accused of policing free speech through new conversion therapy ban. And, well, yeah, it's the SNP government. They really, really, really want to police free speech. They hate free speech. They want to get rid of that fundamental basic human right. So, yeah, I believe it. Campaigners have spoken about their fears over the recommendations, which could lead to parents asking their child about their sexuality being criminalised in Scotland, because this is part of the new gender bill that's just been passed through. Fears have been raised that new laws being introduced by the Scottish Government are worse than their much delayed hate speech legislation. A ban on so called conversion therapy could even lead to church ministers, doctors, or even parents who ask their children questions about their sexuality or living as another gender being criminalised, because one of the problems with the legislation is what counts as conversion therapy. Now, if people want to go through conversion, I'm not talking about getting a bag thrown over your head and getting dragged to conversion therapy against your will. No, you can't do that. But if someone wants to go through conversion therapy or they agree to go through it, well, then that's that person's decision. You can't take that agency away from them. After all, it's their body, their choice. A ban on, in fact, that's what I just read. Greens MSP, of course, it's the Greens. Ross Greer tweeted on Thursday that the bill will be published later this year, followed renewed interest on social media after a scathing takedown of the scheme by nationalist campaigner Wings Over Scotland. And it has led to widespread fears that the SNP are once again threatening to police what you can and cannot say in the safety of your homes, and also what parents can say to their children, because one of the things that was in the legislation, right, is basically conversion therapy. They don't define exactly specifically what it is. Conversion therapy could fall down to you if your child comes in and says, "Dad, I think I might be a woman," and you say, "No, that's not the case. You might just be gay. You might just be going through changes." Don't do anything like that just now. That could count as conversion therapy because you're telling them to not go down that path. You're converting them away from it. So that means even asking questions or trying to stop them, anything that is not all out praise and support could be a criminal offence. And it's like, oh, everyone's like, it appears that this is the intention of the law. They did that on purpose. They did that on fucking purpose. Right? The government has already been warned that they could face a legal challenge due to some aspects of the recommendations that would be fundamentally illiberal. Well, that makes sense. This isn't a liberal country. This is an authoritarian country. As the Scottish Daily Express reported in December, Aidan O'Neill KC said that prayers and sermons would be criminalised if their content did not conform to the new state requirements, and warned the plans would criminalise medical practitioners who express a professional opinion that it may not be in a patient's best medical interest to undergo or undertake gender reassignment. So basically, again, questioning it in any way, anything that comes out your mouth that's not all out support can be criminalised under this bill, under this law. So that basically means, how we talk about the grooming happening in schools, right? So they're allowed to say all of that fucking weird shit to your kid, and if your kid comes home with some different opinions, like the state-funded schools are, forcing down their throat every day, like, I thought that, I would prefer my child to learn English and maths, but, apparently fucking not. If they come home and say, "Dad, I think I might be a woman, I may be an NB, non-binary, fucking blah, blah, blah," and you say, "That's stupid, shut up," that's a crime. That could be a crime. You questioning it. Basically, they want to corrupt your children, and if you speak out against the corruption, there's a crime. There's a crime there. The legislation follows a report written by a group of experts calling for a ban on conversion practices, which is when an individual or group tries to forcibly change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. This is sometimes done through quack treatments. Now, conversion practices, by the way, not all of it's like by force. There's a lot of people that sign up to conversion therapy themselves because they don't want to be gay or they don't want to be trans. Now, I don't want to take that option away from them. I'm all down for the person themselves having a choice as long as everybody else is allowed to comment on their choice. However, this is the government trying to ban one side from commenting on the choice. The expert group made a number of recommendations which urged for new criminal civil administrative laws to punish anyone attempting to do this. And one of the things that they proposed was that if you do that, not only would you face criminal penalties, a criminal record, and possible jail time, the government would be allowed to take your kids from you. The government would be allowed to take your kids away. because you wanted to ask a couple of questions about these strange ideas that they're getting put in their head by the schools. They define conversion practices as any act, treatment, or effort with a specific intent to change, suppress, or inhibit someone's sexual orientation, expression of sexual orientation, gender identity, and or gender expression. Any act at all. So this is a weird thing. Let's say that there's some fucking non-binary meetup happening, but it's happening at midnight, and your 12-year-old goes, I want to go to that, and you're like, well, you're not going to it, you're 12, it's fucking midnight, no, go to your fucking bed, you've got school in the morning. If you say no, any act, that could count as a crime. That could count as a crime for not letting them do that. Like, that's how fucked up these laws are now. It's like, oh, there's such a wide-reaching grey area. Yes, and we've spoken about this hundreds of times before. Governments love a fucking grey area. They love it. They love it so much. However, one thing that I think it might end up being a little bit of a double-edged sword is if a child goes to school and says, I'm straight, if the teacher turns around and says, are you sure you're straight? I believe you just tried to question this person's sexual orientation. I believe you just tried to change it. I believe you just tried to suppress their sexual orientation. They told you were straight and you will leave it at that. You're not allowed to change that or talk to them about that in any way. I'm just saying, if someone says they're straight, which, you know, the overwhelming vast majority of children are going to tell you, boys are going to say, I like girls, and girls are going to say, I like boys, and then you fucking leave it at that and you can't talk about it anymore. They've said they're straight, you better leave it alone, otherwise you're going to be breaching your own law. So I say, let them pass it. It has raised fears that anyone, including parents, teachers, or social workers who ask a question about a child's sexuality, could potentially be charged with this new crime. That's the idea, that's the plan. They know. They know it's like, oh, but this law will do horrible things, and then they're going to act all shocked, and then they'll do the usual of saying, oh, that won't happen. That won't happen. That's not what's going to happen. We know for a fact it's what's going to happen. And in fact, they know it's going to happen. That's why they've passed the law. That's why they do this. They like, we know for a fact that this would be the outcome. They also know. They're just going to try and pretend like they fucking didn't. Like, it's transparent. They just try and lie. They just try and lie all the time. Writing in The Spectator, he said, most of us agree that trying to forcibly change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity, perhaps through pseudoscientific quack treatments, is wrong and should be punished. If the person has consented to it, even if it's a wacky, stupid fucking treatment, that person made a decision. You know, they're a big boy, they can make their own decisions. If they decide it's not for them, whatever, they can opt out at any time, because at the end of the day, it is completely their decision. However, laws already exist to punish such actions. Yes, that is correct. However, the laws don't punish. The basically says, oh no, the laws already exist. Yeah, but they don't care about those specific actions. They care about people questioning it. They care about people asking questions. They care about people, you know, not wanting their kids to be put down a very fucking dark path, which have been forced to go down through fucking peer pressure, teachers, and basically you've seen them all on TikTok. The crazy fucking primary school teachers. I'm gonna see when my daughters go to school. I'm gonna say I want to meet their teacher. I want to meet their teacher and I want to ask them a few questions. And if I see even a fucking inkling of any of that shit, straight out of school. Straight out of fucking school. Nope. You're not filling my head. You want to teach them fucking maths and geography and the stuff they're supposed to learn? Absolutely not a problem. Absolutely fine. Not an issue whatsoever. You want to start turning around and saying all that fucking weird shit, especially when it's a fucking trend that all the cool kids are doing right now, you can fuck right off. I will pull them out of school so fucking fast. So fucking fast. The plans currently being cooked up have the potential to cross the line into authoritarian enforcement of state values on Scottish people in ways never before seen by our society. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. That's what the SNP are trying to do. They've been trying to do it for years, and there's the fucking devil himself, one of the fucking horsemen that's fucking bringing in this end of civilization, where parents aren't even allowed to raise their own fucking kids. They're not even allowed to ask kids fucking questions, or even, like, be there for them in any way or anything like that. If they say anything negative whatsoever, boom, that's it. Committed a crime. I've been on the political scene in Scotland long enough to know that's exactly what we should anticipate. I fought the hate crime bill between 2020 and 2021. Yeah, the Scottish government, for people that like to throw around the words like racist, Nazi, fascist, and all that all the time, these guys literally are fascists. They're trying to use state power to completely outlaw ideological competition. They want it banned. They want it gone. They want rid of it. They want to ban it. They are, by definition, fascists. Like they are. And there's fucking and then if you turn around and call them Nazis or anything like that, they'll send the police to your door, as has happened several times. Now, a guy called Hamza Yusuf racist. This man right here, a guy called Hamza Yusuf a racist, and Hamza had that guy arrested and charged with a racist hate crime. They will now send the police to your door if you criticise them. And now, if your kid comes home saying all this fucking weird fucking hullabaloo shit that the schools are putting in their head and you question it, they want to arrest you for that as well. That's how fucking bad things have gotten. And yous are all going to sit, and loads of people are still going to sit there and tell you that democracy fucking works. There was a blatant attack on free expression, decried in various corners of Scottish society. The recommendations made to ministers on conversion practices are wide open to abuse. I know, that was the plan. Don't appear to take any account of competing rights and beliefs within a pluralistic society. With the Scottish Government's track record of authoritarian policies and its need to keep up appearances with modish lobbyists, the likelihood of bad legislation is high. KC Mr O'Neill raised the potential issue of parents who air their concerns about a child seeking to live as the opposite sex being punished under the draconian laws. He wrote that the recommendations as they stand might criminalise parents who lovingly and in good faith and in accordance with their own best judgment and conscience seek to caution their children in relation to any stated intention to embark on gender affirmatory gender transition treatment in respect of their currently experienced discomfort or dysphoria. So basically, again, if you say anything that says, maybe don't go down that path, it's a little bit of a dark path, it's not a fucking fun one. Plus, I believe all of this shit is a trend. I've spoke about it in the other video. I believe all of this is a trend. I believe it is. A Scottish Government spokesman said, conversion practices that try to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity are harmful, discriminatory, and have no place in our society. We're committed to introducing legislation that will ban these harmful practices as far as possible within devolved competence, just as many jurisdictions across the world have already done, and UK Government intend to partially do. This will be done fully recognising and respecting the legal right to freedom of religion, expression, and private and family life, which are protected under existing laws. No, it will not, and you know that. No, it will not, and you know that. And one of the things that they do as well is they try to get a term that already has some extremely bad connotations, right? They did it with basically like Nazi, racist, right? Nazi racist, fucking 10, 15 years ago, you never wanted to be considered a Nazi or a racist. Now, if people are calling you a Nazi or a racist, it just means you're a little bit right-wing. Or you're the wrong kind of left-wing. That's all it means now. The word's completely lost all meaning. But to the average man in the street, if someone's classed as a racist or a Nazi, their minds still have the old definition. So they will now associate all of that with that. There's a term for this practice. I forget what it's called though. So they still have the old definition in their head. They're still working off the old definition, and this person's a racist or a Nazi, and they'll go, "Oh fuck, they must be fucking goose-stepping their way to Poland and blah blah blah." And everything. When they're not, it just means they're a little bit right wing or the wrong kind of left wing. They did the same thing with anti-vaxxer. Anti-vaxxers for the longest time were made fun of, and everyone thought that they think there's magnets and Bill Gates and fucking 5G and all this type of stuff, and they were portrayed as lunatics. They were portrayed as fucking maniacs. Then what they did was they attached, see anyone that's like, I don't trust the COVID vaccine, they got attached to that, anti-vaxxers. So now you've fallen into that umbrella, which the average man in the street is still working off the old definition. Now, they're going to do the exact same thing with conversion therapy. Conversion therapy makes people think everyone getting put in cold showers and getting electroshock treatment and having Bible verses and fucking people speaking in tongues around you and all that type of stuff and all the quack shit. And now what conversion therapy is anyone going, maybe you're not gay, maybe you're not trans, maybe you're just a little bit confused and it's just a phase, give yourself a few years to figure it out. That type of shit, that's now going to get put under the bracket of conversion therapy, which the average man in the street is still working off the old definition. You know how it goes, right? That's what they're going to do here. That's exactly what they're going to do here. They're going to make it illegal for you to question your own child's indoctrination. That's what they plan to do. That's what they plan to do. And I love the fact is that over and over and over again, they try and criminalize the other side because they know that they can't win. Even in a democracy, they know they can't win. So they have to just basically make the other side illegal. They want to make anything that we want to do illegal. Which is why, again, democracy does not work. The SNP are authoritarian fascists. Homeschool your kids.